What's up, Beefy Nation? What's up, fight fans? We're here with another episode of the Beefy Boys Breakdown. Let me straighten up my camera a little bit. But yeah, it's episode 97 of the Beefy Boys Breakdown. As always, my partner Harrison will be joining me any moment, and we're going to recap. We're going to start off, as we always do, with the prelims of the most recent UFC London. And without further ado, here's Harrison right here.
What a fire t-shirt.
Oh, man, repping the Howlerhead merch. They said they hooked your boy up with some more other shit, man. Yeah, shout out to Howlerhead. Got it right here. Oh, no,
I don't know if they sell those, by the way.
No.
Those ones. Because the ones that they sell have their, say, Howlerhead.
It was on the little note that came with it saying, like, brand ambassadors only. What up, Howlerhead? I'm about to pull up. Start the podcast off right with a little howler. You know how we do.
I'd love to be drinking. I hurt my hand, so I can't do that with medicine. So, sorry, Howler. It's not because of you, it's because of me.
How's your hand feeling, brother? That sucks. Yeah, no.
It hurts. But, you know, whatever. I mean, it's just, I can't take my pinky up. That's the only thing.
Man, mediocre day at the sports book for your boy.
Hey, you made 25 cents, though.
I broke it. I'll fucking, you know.
Hey, if you get to place 5 parlays and don't lose money, you had fun, right?
One that went 3 for 4 and one that went 4 for 5. So, I mean, dude, the one that went 3 for 4, I was a good...
Was the offset parlay was $2 for like 140. I was looking. I went through all of them.
So close.
It goes to show you that a hedge parlay is super worth it in the case you're going to bet 4+ parlays. Super worth it because if you hit that,
what do you got to lose?
Right. No, that's exactly right, man. I think that's a great point that we often don't get to illustrate, right? Because the hedge for us, like we're 2 on the money typically, which is like sounds like I'm tooting our own horn, but that is how that works. This week we weren't so much on the money, but that's where that hedge comes into play.
Like last week. I left the sports book just feeling like I had some slam dunks, and what you got to be careful with, you know. But this I left the sports book like, hey, you know, it's gambling, you know what I mean? Like, hey, it's you know, you win some, you lose some. But yeah, man, I called a lot of shit right, and then the ones that I didn't call right are honestly like our fights that kind of went down like in a weird way or in a way that people didn't really see it going down. So I don't even feel that bad about it. I don't feel like I really only like whiffed hard on one, and I guess that's my own little standard. But as far as like I just completely got it wrong, I really feel like I don't want to say because it'll kind of give some away, but yeah, you know, decent day at the sports book. And you know what, I didn't hate this card as much as everyone else seemed to. Like this card was kind of getting dunked on Twitter, just saying like, oh, it's a lame card, you know. Obviously ends in anticlimactic fashion, but people were saying it was lame before the main event even took place. So I mean, it wasn't the heat or it's the.
I completely disagree. If you wanted to have the argument with me for anyone on Twitter about this card being boring, go ahead and take the main event or the main card off of that argument because the main card was not boring.
Yeah, you know,
it wasn't. Lots to talk about. Like, I mean, you get. You know, of course, half the fights, I guess technically 4 out of 6 are finishes on the main card, which we'll get to, right? Only 1 finish out of 8 on the prelims. So I'm sure people are mad about the decisions. I'm also sure that they're mad about how clear-cut they were. Like, I don't feel like there's a lot of times where we're going to have to debate a whole lot of things. There's going to be a few times, of course, but there's some, like the Makaya fight, that's going to be essentially one breakdown for every round. You know what I mean? Like, all those rounds are the exact same.
I'm so high on Makaya, dude. I put him on 2 of my parlays. At minus 500, I didn't care. I was like, I'll eat it, dog. Like, that's a parlay builder for sure.
I don't mind it, man. Like, he's dominant. His goal is to be the youngest UFC champion.
Yeah.
And let's go ahead and dive into it, man, because we get to him on the 4th fight of the night, so we're going to be able to or the 5th fight of the night, so we're going to be able to talk about him here shortly, I think.
Starting off, we got Claudio Silva, plus 180 versus Nicholas Dalby, minus 210, jerking the curtain at welterweight. I didn't pick a side, but I loved the over. This is one I'm doing my little research on Tapology. I think each of these guys' last 4 fights went to decision. So I think I got like minus 155 or something, not too crazy on the over.
That's good. And Darby's Dalby's a cardio king, so you know that he wants to push full decisions, and Claudio Silva doesn't have the best striking, so it's almost like, well, if Dalby wants to push a decision here and he can just avoid getting taken down, good chance that you get to see that go to a decision.
I love the over on this, and you know, I don't think it really gives anything away to really say that the over hit. So yeah, the over hit started off the night good. It started off and that was the parlay that went on to cash too. So just started off real good.
Hey, bet the first fight of the night,
know,
you
right?
hit it and won. Hilarious, huh?
Yeah, bet the first, especially too. Over, like, come on now. But hey, when you like it, you like it.
Oh, you remember Adesanya and Cannonier in the first fight of that card?
So hey, you know,
would have cashed so hard on three other parlays with just that one fight.
Man, so Claudio Silva, you know, he came out looking, I don't want to say too good, but I mean, he won the first round, I thought. He got the single leg takedown, had a little control. It's pretty snoozy, not a lot of damage, no sub attempts, but he won the first round. And then, you know what, I was a little nervous. Actually, I wasn't nervous on the over, but it wasn't looking so hot for Dalby. You know what I mean?
Yes, agree with both points. Both, because it wasn't necessarily he was ever in mortal danger even with Claudio Silva on his back. He defended very well for 3.5 minutes in the first round, right? So we've talked about this before too. Like when a jiu-jitsu guy gets that much control in the first round and he can't get it in the first round when they're not sweaty, not gassed, that's a big deal because his chances are only going to decline as the fight goes further.
Cardio, you're right. No, I mean, it seems like really Dalby from that point out like made the correct adjustments. Because the next time he got taken down in the second round too, but was able to reverse Silva, which is pretty impressive because Dalby thought of him as a striker, Silva thought of him as a jiu-jitsu guy. So whenever Dalby was able to get that reversal, I thought it was a nice little feather in the cap for old Dalby.
He did it pretty nicely too, man. He pushed the body lock down onto his waist so it was off of his stomach. And I don't know that – I'm surprised Silva didn't try to readjust and break it and go back to double hooks and then reset it. I was really surprised, actually, because what that means is that Dalby's in at his skinniest point, his waist, you know, as a man. You know, for women that's going to be different, obviously. But for a dude, your skinniest point is pretty much your waist, right where your stomach ends, which is where he got the body lock pushed down to. So it allowed him to spin into it. He got them out and actually did damage with it too. That was the biggest part. Was Dalby when he got on top, when he was in the top of the or the controlling position, he was doing damage.
When Silva was on top, and I think the second round was also when Silva started to gas, the cardio gap started to widen. And then when they got back to the feet, you know, Dalby with the clinch knees to both the body and head, mixing it up. I mean, Dalby looked fantastic in round two.
And his cardio was not a problem, which we, of course, expected.
We were both decently high on Dalby, and you know, because he has some there's things to like there. But then he took, I think, like one or two kind of bad L's, and you know, we obviously cooled off, took some pull out of the hype train, and now I'm sitting kind of lukewarm on him, but there are skills there. You know what I'm saying? It's just like he's the kind of guy that just has to put it all together on the night of the fight. Like I feel like he's probably a guy that looks great in the gym. You know what I mean? Like because the skills are like pretty dope.
Yeah, you know what's weird? I'm looking at his record, and since we have done the show, he's gone to a no contest with Jesse Ronson, where I believe there was an injury. He beat D-Rod in a unanimous decision that we thought was kind of more of a snoozy fight, just because Dalby was pressing the cardio and not really engaging too much. Then he got that loss to Tim Means a year ago, but I believe got injured of some sort in that, so he's been out for a full year. Made a strong recovery, and I actually like the way he's been fighting in his past three fights. Now, granted, he's the guy that he's just not going to get finishes. Like, he might get finished, but he's not a finisher. I mean, he has 20 wins, 10 by finish, 4 losses, 1 draw. So 10 wins by decision. You know, more than half of his wins are a decision.
His career against Can
absolutely.
But
right.
But yeah,
yeah, exactly right.
Love betting Dalby overs. The over cashed on this one. Now we'll go to the third round. Now I thought the third round was like pretty close, but like Dalby won most of the round. Silva got a late takedown, didn't really do much with it, but it was enough to really make it kind of interesting in a semi-close round. I still gave round 3 to Dalby. I do have the word close written. I guess probably interesting is probably a better word than close because I think Dalby won the round, but, you know, Silva gave you a little bit to think about there.
Yeah, especially if you consider at the end of round 2, it looked like Silva was about to like collapse on the ground from exhaustion. Felder noted it. He was like, "I'm surprised. I'll be intrigued to see how Silva responds in the third
He's
round."
looking a little
He responded
Herbert
pretty well,
Burns-ish,
in
you know
all
what I mean?
honesty.
A little get me out of here, you know what I mean? But yeah, no, I mean he came back, had a way better third round, and you know, so two. Now this is what I don't get. I guess did one judge have a 10-8 in there?
Yeah, I mean, and you know, obviously, has to be round 2. I was going to ask you if you went 10-8. I obviously did not. I think Silva having the control he had in the start of the round. I mean, yeah, he was getting dominated for the last 45 seconds, but it was never close to a finish. I didn't think.
I'm pretty generous with my 10-8s. Like, there's plenty of times where I give out 10-8s and no judge does. So I was a little thrown off. I guess I don't hate it. You know, obviously the right man won. I thought 29-28 was definitely the right scorecard, which 2 judges had. I think you had as well. So I think the judge that gave 10-8 is a little loosey-goosey. But, hey, I'll take that over some other kind of screwy things that you get from the judges. But, yeah, Dalby wins as a -210 favorite. But more importantly, the over hit for your boy. And, yeah, Dalby overs. I mean, unless he's just facing some kind of monster. I mean, Dalby overs against, like, you know, middle-of-the-road-ish type fighters. And I think I like it moving forward.
Is his nickname Locomotive? That is him, right?
Maybe.
Nicholas Locomotive Dalby. I think so. I think he has been known as a cardio king for a long time.
Dalby has some nice skills. I said on nights where he puts it all together, he looks real good, which he looked real good. You know, how good is Claudio Silva? You know, I don't think it's fair to say he's really a can, but, you know, definitely not top-end talent. We'll see what happens. You know, Dalby probably, at the end of the day, kind of the middle-of-the-road guy. But he shows some flashes. He shows some skills. And I think on any given night could potentially be a tough matchup for somebody. But that's really about all I got on that one.
Yeah, I think he's a good guy for guys that are going to make a run to the top 15 in welterweight. He kind of sits in that 25 to 20 range, in my opinion. Not necessarily even that close to top 15, but if you get a win over him and look good, you might get that shot at number 15, number 14.
Right, I think you're right.
Like if you finish him, you know what I mean? If you get a finish on Dalby, he's a good setup guy. He's one of those guys, makes your division stronger for the depth he's going to add, isn't really going to add much championship metal to it. And is 37, so probably only 2 more good years fighting it that way.
He's 37. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that year off he had to take
tough,
was
man.
pretty rough
we
for him,
can keep it pushing here. We got in the women's flyweight division, we got Mandy Bone -120, Victoria Leonardo +100, and doesn't make for the best podcast content, but I like Leonardo, and it was something that I saw in my research. I'm drawing a blank on what it was that I saw, but I saw. Oh, you know what it was? It was that she has been in there with Manon Fiorot. Like the caliber, like she has losses. She has losses.
Oh,
fucking studs. And then Bohm has a beautiful record, but against kind of cans and lower end talent. So she came in as the -120 favorite. I feel like Vegas just kind of looked at the records, and I dug a little deeper. And like Leonardo's losses are the fucking absolute monsters. Like I know Fiorot's won.
Yeah, Aaron Blanchfield, Miranda Maverick, Manon Fior, Melissa Gatto, and Miranda Maverick again. Those are all beasts. Those are all top 15 except for Gatto. And Gatto's not terrible.
Probably better than anybody Bowman fought. That's what I saw. So I went with Leonardo. I like Leonardo, especially getting plus money. I said just the level of competition, which that's a dangerous way to bet, you know, but I like that shit. Like, this was going to be her easiest fight in, like, years. Like, literally, on paper. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You know what? This girl has 3 rematches in her career. She's 2-1 in her rematches. That is pretty weird to have that many rematches in only 14 fights.
Yeah, so there were some things there I saw Leonardo that I liked. And, I mean, this is one where we don't really have to go round by round because, I mean, Leonardo, especially as an underdog, really, I mean, I'll go ahead and say dominated. I mean, she won on the feet. She won on the ground. She won in the clinch. She landed some head kicks. I mean, the activity. I mean, the takedown, the ground and pound. I mean, there wasn't an area of mixed martial arts where she looked bad. And quite opposite, she looked great. Like, no matter where the fight went, she took the fight where she wanted it to go. She was comfortable on the feet, on the ground, and in between. I mean, Leonardo looked great.
You know, I think as good as Leonardo looked, Bohm did not use her length at all. She had like an 8-inch reach advantage and continually let Leonardo get into dirty boxing situations and be way too close in range for a girl to be that strong and big, you know? Like, if you're going to be long, fight long.
I'm going to shove a little like glass half full in Leonardo real quick because you got to think about it. Her last fight, I believe, was Fioro, who's a very tall. So
Gatto and then Fioro right before.
If I'm not mistaken. So it's like, she's had these training. I think it was more of like Leonardo's strategy more so than like a downfall of Bohm. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm looking at a glass half full Leonardo because like she knows how to fight that style of lanky fighter. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't think it was a coincidence of how good she looked against that style of fighter. She had 3 training camps in a row against longer strikers. I don't know. I think I'm going to give Leonardo the credit there.
Oh. I also thought the first round was close, but she kind of broke Bohm. As the fight went longer, it got further apart.
I agree.
If that makes sense.
I don't have the word close in my notes, but it was probably the closest round. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean to say, yeah. Closest round was round 1. 10-9 Leonardo. Takedown definitely sealed that for me. But I thought that was the closest round. And if you're a striker and your best round that you still lose is the first, probably not going to go much better for you in the second or third.
But yeah, man, 30-27, all 3 unanimous. I scored a 30-27. You scored a 30-27. Cashed that leg of the parlay. Let me see here. Yeah, I had that one. That parlay didn't end up cashing, but it started off nice. Unfortunately, I said it's all about. It sucks. It's a blessing and a curse when you put so many parlays. Because it's kind of like a shotgun scatter, right? Like you're spreading the love around. It's like,
yeah,
you make like I don't know, man. It's just tough because it's like it sucks whenever 4 of your parlays hit, but like there's so many combinations. Like you picked so many fights right that they would have been paired differently. But it's the ultimate hindsight 2020 like betting regret. You know what I mean? Because there's no way of knowing. You have fights you like. You kind of put them together based on value and not trying to be redundant. And you know, the chips fall how they fall. But yeah, Bill, I would love to talk to like a more experienced like sports bettor on because I feel like I do good with my picks. Like I've been over 50% like 6 weeks in a row. It's just like how to build the parlays. You know, I would love to talk to like a experienced like a Joe Fortenbaugh, like a you know, like a betting, like a professional gambler, you know.
The bear on College Game Day. Like they always know essentially how to play things, or they have a big enough book. Like for instance, Drake. He had a $2 million bet riding a McCann and Pimblett, a parlay, a 2-leg, but that was going to pay him 2.3 if he hits it, right? Yeah. So it's like if your bankroll's big, you're even winning. I mean, what is that percentage? 17% plus what you bet back, you know what I mean? So 117% on a parlay. I know, it's not necessarily great. Because if you bet $5, you win 7 or 6.
My small bankroll kind of makes me take kind of more long shot parlays, trying to hit it big. You're right. Having a big bankroll in sports betting is such an advantage. You can make the obvious picks and still turn a profit. You know what I mean? Like your boys try.
And I've heard a lot of professional gamblers say that too. That having a bankroll helps a lot.
And I get so close on so many. But,
well, to be fair, I mean, how do you get a bankroll? You know what I'm saying? It's like a train. You got to keep it rolling, keep it rolling.
Like a chunk of that's going to like a betting bankroll to like 100% just so I can be a little smarter. I think next week I may shift up the strategy and make a bunch of straight bets, like a bunch, like.
I think next week there's some juice. We'll talk about it after the main card breakdown. For anyone that's watching now, if you want to see our picks for this next UFC coming up, I think me and Dominic have already got some scumbaggy research done in. As soon as I lose the
parlay, I'm like, all right, next week, let's go. Next week's the week. But yeah, man, I guess we keep it pushing, man, because Jai Herbert versus Kyle Nelson's up next in the men's lightweight division. Herbert coming in at minus 285. Kyle Nelson coming in at plus 240 in the lightweight division. Now, I loved Herbert on this. I put Herbert in a parlay. Actually, I put Herbert in a parlay. Now, Herbert's this guy, man, where he came in with a weird guy, but came in with a ton of hype. a lot of people were saying like the next Leon Edwards, like I think he trains in that same camp, and like he came in with a ton of hype, and he does have some nice skills, but I think he was a little overhyped. You know what I mean? And I also got to say, you know, and I guess disrespect. It's not really. I don't want to be one of those guys that's just like no disrespect, and then goes on to say something like I think Nelson is kind of meant to be a get right fight for Herbert. I mean, I think the money line indicates that. I mean, Nelson's definitely not a world beater. I don't know why else you make this matchup. You know what I mean? Like I think they were. I mean, Herbert was the hometown guy. I think they were trying to do Herbert a solid. Now, I want to go round by round on this one because I actually disagree with the official scorecard. Not necessarily disagree, but my scorecard looked different, man. So I mean, getting it started here. Nelson plus 240, Herbert minus 285. I gave round one to Nelson, man. I think that one was pretty obvious.
Yeah, for sure.
The body and the leg kicks.
I mean, Herbert only landed 3 strikes in the entire first round. He wasn't even awake. Like, he was just eating shots and not firing back.
Super biased towards all the British fighters, which is kind of annoying.
Oh, my God. And all the money lines, if you got any of these bets early on any Brit, Molly McCann started at minus 200 and finished at minus, like, 460 or something. Like, England was just betting money on their fighters blindly.
Like, Bisping was just giving Herbert all the, like, kind of benefit of the doubt in round one. And, like, it was kind of annoying. Like, I wish I would have watched this fight on mute. But that being said, I was going against Bisping.
Me too.
I gave round one to Nelson, and instead of giving Nelson any semblance of credit, Bisping was just like, "Oh, Herbert's just slow starter, feeling him out, blah blah blah." And it's like kept giving him these benefits of the doubt, and it's like, all right, or Nelson is doing a great job of like range management, and
Well, at the end of the leg kicks, managed the range. He would get in when he wanted to get in on the fence. He would dirty box and throw pretty good strikes on the fence in clinch.
Like, he was either all the way out.
Right. That's what I mean. I thought Nelson fought a beautiful or all the way pressed. Right. Never stayed in that boxing range, which was beautiful.
Like, that's his game plan. Like, that's clearly what he did.
Yeah.
So, like,
for sure the game plan.
That was a weird, fluky, awkward first round. It's like, no, I think that first round is exactly how Kyle Nelson spent the last 9 weeks, like, hoping the first round would go. Like, I had a big problem with that. I'm glad you saw it the same way.
Yeah, well, and Mike Malott was in Kyle Nelson's corner. And Felder made the point at one point that Mike Malott was out-coaching Herbert in his corner at the same time. Well, I mean, obviously the out-coaching, the fighter's got to do what he's supposed to do. But I thought that what the game plan was for Nelson's camp and the way he approached it, the way the entire first round went, was a beautiful assessment of, man, they just really are out. He's getting out-coached, Herbert was, and he wasn't fighting.
Takedown, you know what I'm saying? No, he's not. Like he's not. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
no, I love Nelson's approach, Nelson's game plan. Now, we both see round one the same. We'll keep it pushing to round two. Round two is pretty close, and I think round two is like
incredibly close. I have extremely close written in my notes.
How you score this fight depends on how you score round two. So me saying I disagreed with the judges
absolutely
really means I disagreed on this round, and we can get to it. I had it for Nelson, man. Once again, all the way in or all the way out, which Bisping was acting like, oh, how does this happen? Like, that's exactly what he wanted to happen. Looked like a less effective version of round one. You know what I'm saying? Like, Herbert did have a better round two. I'm not taking that away from Herbert. But, like, once again, I mean, the leg kicks, keeping him out, or was having success in the clinch all the way in. That's not a coincidence. That's not a slow start for Herbert. That was Nelson executing his game plan. And the numbers agreed with Nelson. No, I think, did every judge give this round to Herbert? Like, I think they did.
Every judge did, and granted, he outstruck him by 1 in this round. Now, for me, I kind of take that with a grain of salt, right? Because some strikes are not. Wow, just by 1. It was 19-18.
My eye test, I thought no. I literally have the word significant strikes in my notes. Like, I guess I didn't look at the numbers. I thought Nelson. My eye test. I don't know. I thought he was being more effective.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying is, like, because they flashed the significant strikes with 30 seconds to go, and it was 14-16. So then I counted out the end, and I'm pretty sure it finished at 19-18, right? 5-2 on the finish for Herbert. But regardless of all that, you know, when I saw even strike numbers, essentially, it made me think to myself, well, all right, then we're going to go purely off damage and control in this round. Herbert did have a little more effectiveness turning and getting Nelson's back to the fence, which I know that's a weak form of control, but he was at least getting out of the controlled position. And then I thought the damage, it wasn't necessarily that he out-damaged him, but if it was all even, and I had thought that, I don't know, man, I just feel like Herbert finally came alive in this round. I scored a 10-9 for Herbert. Like I said, extremely close. And I even put...
You know, like, that makes me feel better about the decision. And it was really, really close. And I'm glad to hear your perspective on it. See,
I am surprised one judge didn't go to Nelson for it. No, I do think the home bias in the UK is worse than anywhere else on earth.
It seems like it, right? You know,
it's so bad, man. It's so bad. Even in Abu Dhabi, it's not this bad. For even those, like, the Dagestani Middle Eastern fighters, it's not this bad. Like, man. And you know what? That might have a lot to do with the fans. The fans in the UK are the best fans. I'll say it. Like, when their people win, they get up. Like, they love their people. Brazilians are pretty damn good,
bro.
too.
Like, when there's Texas fighters fight on a Texas card, they go hard. I mean, New York with the East Coasters go hard.
Yeah, New York, Boston, Texas. It's just sad that California, Vegas, and Florida don't have that same effect, because that's where the UFC loves to go.
Those are all
I guess Apex takes that out.
That's the thing. They're all transplants. Like, when they go to LA, like, even if you train in California,
that's a great point.
Grow up there,
that's a great point.
You know, like Vegas, nobody
Tremendous
grows up in Vegas. I mean, people do, obviously, but, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, all the fighters move there to train at Extreme Couture and Syndicate, and so it's like they're all transplant. They're like, yeah, they're fighting out of Las Vegas, but it's not really like a hometown kid. You know what I mean? I think that's kind of what's going on there. Like, these English fighters grew up and still train out of England. It's more of a real hometown thing. But we're getting a little off the rails here. I appreciate you explaining how you saw round two. I also appreciate you explaining how close it was. Now, round three is where I don't think there's really any controversy. By far and away, Herbert's best round. Herbert,
he actually gets real control and holds it out for the entire third. Not much damage, but a lot of control.
Yeah, to Herbert's credit, we view him as a striker. We kind of already clowned his wrestling a little bit, but he was able to get the reversal, so he didn't get a takedown, but he reversed Nelson's takedown and ends up on top. And, hey, he keeps the position and uses it effectively. Gets off some good ground and pound, some control, 2 minutes of control time, some decent ground and pound. Not the best ground and pound in the world, but it wasn't snoozy. Like, he was active, you know.
He was active, right? Active, and I will say this too. There was a ref, not on this fight, but Movahedi. He is the most impatient guy I've ever seen in my life.
I remember thinking that live, but I wouldn't have remembered.
Your translation device
works. Oh, you're good. You're good. I remember thinking that live, but I wouldn't have had the recall to bring it up on the pod. So I'm super glad you brought that up. I thought the same exact thing. Especially in other fights on the card, like, they're super impatient. Like, if you're a clinch fighter, good luck. You know what I mean? Like, they're like, you're at a disadvantage. Like, it was level, like, breakups. You know what I mean? Like, it was kind of whack. Like, I didn't appreciate it. Well, no, you know, obviously, if it goes too far the other way, we're complaining too. But it's like, I would now maybe an unpopular take and definitely not a casual take, but I think I'd rather go too long than too short, right? Because too long, it's like, all right,
for sure. I'd rather give them the chance to operate than rob their opportunity. You know,
style, right? Like, because I don't like letting it go too.
Yeah,
long, obviously, it's like a snoozy grappler, but I feel like it's pretty easy. Like give them the benefit of the doubt, right? I think that's one position where, especially in this fight, it's not like either guy was really laying and praying. So it's like there wasn't a reason to have a quick trigger. Like, now, certain guys that are like bullshit, we'll get to it later in the Paul Craig fight, like, the trigger got quicker and quicker and quicker, and I thought for good reason, and we'll get to the X's and O's of that. But this was not that. Like they were just kind of like arbitrarily kind of quick, which obviously favors Herbert, which is the hometown guy, which gets a little weird, right?
It definitely gets a little weird, because then it starts to seem like the refs are working for the British fighters, the judges are working for the British fighters due to the crowd reactions they're getting from British fighters' strikes.
a lot of American MMA reps, maybe they wrestled in middle school or high school or JV or you know what I mean? Like, and in England, they don't have wrestling
Great point.
in school, so it's
Great point.
they are, and most of these guys are probably boxing and kickboxing and Muay Thai reps. Like, it's a real thing. It's a real thing.
It's a great point. Now, with all that being said, all three of the judges had a 29-28 Herbert. I don't think it should have been like that. Split decision seems way more fitting here. Whether it be Nelson or Herbert, I don't have a problem. I don't think either guy can get robbed because the fight was so close.
That's what's crazy about this. Like, I bet on Herbert, but my scorecard reads Nelson.
Yeah.
Let you know your boy tries to, like, separate the two, and then I try to be objective. Now, similar to, Iron Turtle a few cards back, like, hey, whatever the you disagree with the judges, but it agrees with your parlay, you're not really rolling out any hills. But so Herbert wins, unanimous decision, which you're right. I thought it looked a little more split to me, but hey, definition of splitting hairs. This was my second leg of the parlay. So I have Dalby Silva over 2.5, Jai Herbert money line, 2 out of 4. It's a 4-legger. Your boy's feeling good.
What are the other two there?
Said that one hit. Yeah. That's the one.
Oh, that's the one you hit. Okay. My bad.
I'll release it as we go. But yeah, we'll keep it pushing to one of our favorite flyweights. I think that's fair to say.
Definitely fair to say. I also would like to say as well, Charles Johnson, he's gonna be someone. This is a guy that after this fight, and it's not a close scorecard. This guy's gonna be someone.
Credentials.
His accolades are insane.
It seemed like the Bo Jackson 30 for 30, where they just like keep listing off like legendary athletic feats. Like that's what it felt like. Like he was all state in track and football and basketball. And I don't.
He was NCAA 2-time All-American in track.
And then in high school, I think he was
NCAA
like wrestling, football, and track, or
state champ wrestler, all-state track, all-state football, all-state wrestling. Literally, you can only do 3 sports in a calendar year in high school. Typically, he was all state.
It's
all
really
3.
wild. Like the guy was made of the right stuff. Like he never stopped competing in a fight that wasn't that competitive, which is maybe the wrong way to put it. Like it was easy to score. I don't think saying it wasn't competitive is necessarily fair to Johnson. And so we got Muhammad Makaya, minus 500, only 21 years old, undefeated. Coming in
crazy too because him and Paddy have beat.
And like, am I crazy to say that? Like,
weird
in a street fight, I don't hate Makaya. Like in a street fight, I'm not like not in the sanctioned bout.
You're not crazy at all for that.
Paddy's gonna walk in there at like 180, but like in a street fight, hey man, I might like me some Makaya action there. But yeah, we got Makaya minus 500. I had him in 2 different parlays. Fighting Charles Johnson plus 400 in his debut. So, like, from a betting perspective, this was a slam dunk as the minus 5. But there were some other big money lines on this card that I didn't think were slam dunks. So, like, I actually thought this was the parlay. There's other money lines on this card that may make you think it was a parlay builder, but I disagreed with them. No, and some I got proven wrong. But I thought this was the slam dunk. As far as like a parlay builder goes. Now, as we looked in the men's flyweight division, also we listed all his non-MMA accolades. Also a former LFA champ, which is one of the better local promotions. Like one out of all the, like it's what Cage Warriors and LFA are like the 2 main feeders, right? I mean, so
yeah, those two. You could maybe say KSW, but I wouldn't go that far.
What's that one called? That's called something. It's something Warriors, or I don't even know. I forget. But they have a pretty decent promotion over there that's produced some studs. Like Hamzat, I think, fought in it, and a lot of those guys.
Well, and coming in, too, Johnson only has losses to Brandon Royval, and this guy, Sean Santella. Two decision losses as well. Never been finished in a fight.
He actually fights next week, right? Doesn't Royval?
Top 6. Top 6.
Flyweight's popping right now.
Yes, he does, yeah.
Popping.
Yeah, and I think this was a big test for Makaya. So, I mean, we don't necessarily even have to go round by round, I don't think, because I think each round is so similar.
which I thought is a credit to Johnson.
No, nor do I.
When Johnson never stopped competing, he never stopped fighting, he never gave up. It was like, that's what I'm saying. You may look at this minus 500 money line, 30-27 scorecard, and your brain may connect those dots and come to a conclusion of uncompetitive fight. That's not fair to Johnson. Johnson competed for all 15 minutes. And the fact that how many fights has it been since Makaya went the distance? I mean, it's been like, not many guys can take Makaya 15 minutes.
Let's see. Makaya, his last decision was he has 2 decisions in his career before this, out of 7 fights. So, he finishes fights.
That's what I'm saying. So, now, also, there's a lot of ways to interpret Makayev's performance. I think Makayev broke the flyweight record for takedown attempts in a fight. 26 takedown attempts.
26.
I view
in
that
15 minutes.
There's a lot of ways you view it. And actually, I'm going to turn it over to you, my friend. How is that a positive or a negative? Because I think it could be interpreted either way. Because like the car.
I think it's both, right? Because he is 12 for 26, so he is almost at a 50% rate. However, he can't hold Johnson down. He showed no ability to suppress Johnson on top. Now he did have 12 minutes control.
That's 1 minute per takedown,
Johnson
right?
continually could get up off of his back. Yeah. Essentially, he could hold him for a minute on each takedown. Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes a guy stands up, still in clinch control, so they're still giving him control time, and then he gets taken back down.
That's where I'm coming from when I say that Johnson never stopped competing. Like, he got up from every takedown, which a lot of people wouldn't have thought he'd be able to.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I meant from, like, the competitive. Like, the fact that – because, I mean, in a non-competitive fight, you don't get to 22 takedowns or 26 takedowns because it only takes 2 or 3, right? You know what I mean? If you're really steamrolling a guy, if you're really Islam Makasheving a guy, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, I'll be honest, man. Guys like Amir Albazi, Sumo Darji, I think they lose to Makayev, and I think those are great fights for Charles Johnson already. It's just to show you where the level of this fight was for 2 unranked flyweights. Like, I think both these guys will be top 15. I think Makayev is top 5 champion level.
I'm so high on Makaya. If his rookie card was out already, I would own it. I think on the next batch of cards, he'll be on it.
He reminds me of, honestly, a more like I don't want to say energetic, but he reminds me so much of Moreno in the way that he is just relentless with the pressure and attacks, but he's so much cleaner in his technique and takes so much less damage.
Part. I also think that's a credit to Moreno. I think Moreno is the type of fighter that's going to have success in the flyweight division, right? Like, that style. So
yes. Activity plus a good chin and very solid grappling. Yeah. Very well. Very well.
I honestly thought all right, so I asked your opinion. You said it can kind of go either way. I feel you. That's why it's a good topic. You know what? And I'm a Makaya dick rider. So, I mean, if there's anybody that should be viewing this glass half full, it's your boy. I'm going glass half empty. I hated the lack of control. Now, obviously, love the cardio. How many guys could even attempt 26 takedowns? You know what I mean? Like, or even 12. You know what I mean? So, I mean, the cardio, insane.
I thought the amount of strikes he threw was really sad too. For that much control, for 12 minutes control, to only throw 54 strikes, 29 standing significant strikes. That's pretty low activity as far as your striking for Makaya.
What impressed me more so than the takedown attempts on paper was the in-between positions, the scrambles. Like, he was beating Johnson to the next position, like, mentally. He knew where it was going before it went there. And it was obvious.
He knew.
Jumped off the screen to me. That's what was fucking, getting me a little chubby was the scrambles and the ability to, like, know, not even predict, like, know and like, be at the next position waiting on Johnson to catch up and get there. Now, like I said, I view the 26 takedown attempts as kind of glass half empty. Like I said, the ability, the cardio to be able to do that many, yeah, sure, check the box. But as far as like the lack of control time, and I also thought Makaya was having great success, and there wasn't that much time in this fight spent at kickboxing range. But every second that was spent at kickboxing range was won by Makaya. I honestly thought after fucking 15 takedown attempts, just disengage and beat him up on the feet. I guess I thought he could have, and I thought he was in the limited amount of time Now, obviously, that wasn't the game plan, and obviously, he has a certain style. Born in Dagestan. Like, I thought he would have done just fine at kickboxing range. Actually, he maybe gets a finish if he stops getting those takedowns. You know what I mean? Like, I thought the takedown attempts were actually like, I'm viewing the glass half empty. Now, I'm doing that as a Makaya fan and as a belief in his stand-up skills, and like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah.
And being a minus 500 wasn't as dominant as you'd think a minus 500 against a guy making their debut should be. Like, he's fighting a debut too, so it shouldn't even be like that.
It may sound like I'm speaking out of both sides of my neck. I think that's one of those things like Makaya in his camp when they go back and watch this. Like maybe in his next fight he does, stand and bang a little bit more. Just because he can do it. Like he's not Ankalaev. You know what I mean? Like he can kickbox.
I think if anyone gets hype or coal in the train, it's probably more so Charles Johnson, right? Like he fought literally one of the toughest, highest rated prospects in all of 125, and he was like a spring every time he got taken down. Like he was straight back up almost every time. He's gonna be problematic for a lot of other guys.
100% agree. Just the plus athlete, obviously, which flyweight doesn't have a lot of like plus athletes. You know what I mean?
Now, with the lack of depth in flyweight, are we throwing Makaya a ranked fighter next?
I'm down for a top 10. I'm down to give this guy the Shemaev, the O'Malley, O'Malley.
Well, how about Sumu Darji?
Oh, bro, that's a fun fight. Now, I also kind of like Sumu Darji, so I kind of like, especially after what he just went through. I think that'd be kind of dickish to make that matchup, but as the Hamzat Diaz fight shows, that doesn't factor in at all in matchmaking. You know what? It's like in a vacuum, I actually think that'd be a lot of fun and be a badass fight and a great next step for Makaya. But for Mudarji, I wouldn't want to see that. But hey, I mean, I think that actually proves your point, though.
I found it very weird as well that Chanel and Mudarji did not move in the rankings from that fight.
You could argue
that very odd.
They canceled each other out and that they both kind of showed a lot of holes. But that's a glass half empty way of looking at it.
That's fair.
There is a glass half full way of looking at it where they both move up or one guy stays and one guy moves up. I feel you. They could have gone either way. They went glass half empty. I don't love it. And especially in the flyweight division. Like I'm all for getting these flyweight. I think these flyweight rankings should be a fucking like just like a leapfrog. You know what I mean? Like a race. I think they should be, because I don't think that there's any flyweights outside of like the top guys, the Figueiredos, the Morenos, the Cara France. I don't think there's anybody else in the division that's like, oh, this guy's like a staple. Like this guy matters. Like, I mean, there's the Perez's, the Schnells, who did we just talk about a few moments ago? Fights. No,
Sumu Darji?
Fights next week.
That would be
Royval.
Oh,
but I'm
or
saying
Brandon
all
Royval.
those guys are like a big step. Like, you know what I mean? They're. I wouldn't say they're just a guy, and they are top guys, but I don't think that they're not selling any pay-per-views or co-main any fight nights, or you know what I'm saying? Like, and the way Chael would sum it up would say interchangeable mediocrities. That's the word Chael likes to use. Like,
I don't think it's unfair to say that.
I'm all for even the Mudarjis. Like, let's get these guys up there. Like, this is a division much like exactly what they did with women's flyweight. They got the Fioros, the Meatball Mollies. They're getting all the Blanchfields. They're getting all these girls up there in the rankings. So like how in men's welterweight, the Sean Brady's and the Shavkat, they're getting up there in the mix. And it's like, I think men's flyweight can do a lot of that.
I agree with you, man. Now, here's the one thing I actually had a problem with this card, and we can keep it pushing to the next fight after this, was that the main card was not on ESPN, and it started at 2 p.m., and the basketball tournament was instead on ESPN.
Oh, the summer?
No one. It's called TBT. No, it's called TBT. It's where old retired college players that can't make it pro anywhere go join their like Syracuse. It's called Boeheim's Army. So any ex-Syracuse player can go play in this tournament once a year.
That's like
I think it's $1 million prize for winning team. I was like,
yeah,
what are we doing? You have a card that you don't have to compete your main slots against anything. You have it where anyone that is in England or anywhere else on Earth is going to be watching in primetime slots. Well, I mean, what are we doing? What are we doing, ESPN
I'm
UFC?
an ESPN Plus guy. Like, I don't even have cable. And how many people follow me? Like,
Me too.
Cable may be the
Me too.
B-side nowadays. You know what I'm saying?
Unless it's ABC, yeah, you're right. Unless it's a major channel on bunny ears, you're probably right. I just thought for the time slot, how are you not going to give it on ESPN?
That's some bullshit. Like that's I mean that's a World Series of Poker and Cornhole tournament. You know what I mean? Like the ESPN the Ocho type shit.
Literally.
Like yeah, I agree. I had no idea.
Yeah.
I was watching on ESPN Plus, so I wasn't aware of that going on. Like, wow, great point to bring to the table. But another great point is that we need to keep it pushing, and we got Jonathan Pierce taking on Amir Khan. Plus 150 against Pierce coming in at minus 175 as the favorite in the men's featherweight division. And man, Amir Khan is one of these weird guys where, like, when I hear that name, I think, like, oh, this guy's pretty good. And then you go to his
Mr. Finland.
and it's a nightmare.
Oh, his topology is rich. That is rich.
And so, like this is one where, like, because I always have two picks. I have, like, my knee-jerk reaction, look at the card, no research pick. And then I have, like, I'll go do a little research and, like, make amendments and, like, dig a little deeper. And this is one where my pick switched with, like, 2 seconds of research. Like, if you just go to Tapology, like, Pierce looked phenomenal. And I ended up putting Pierce in a couple, I think just one parlay. But I ended up taking Pierce in this one. And, yeah, man, Mac won. He has the skill set, and he's good looking. He's marketable. I mean, he's been a veteran. He's fought some tough guys, but
he lacks a standing skill set, and to have fought in the UFC this long and not developed a striking skill set is kind of my red flag for him, right?
Not the greatest chin,
Well, I mean, think about it. Starts, though, man. Like, I mean, Pierce minus 175, Amir Khan plus 150. I don't know if we said it, but either way, man, Amir Khan shoots on that single leg, and I swear to you, Pierce landed 30 elbows on the side of his head to where he's just bleeding down the side of his face, not quitting on the takedown. It made no sense, and he even said in fighter interviews, he's going to shoot a single leg, I'm going to elbow him in the head.
Also,
he knew. It's telegraphed.
How many guys have we seen attempt those elbows as takedown defense and it not work, and they get taken down? Like I think,
and just get taken down immediately.
And a lot of guys. So his ability to, like, actually get the damage off. Also, Amir Khan, we always talk about it. These guys with high level grappling, but like B level or C level wrestling, it's like if you can't get it to the grappling, how much does the grappling matter? It's a real.
Oh, we'll get to Paul Craig.
But yeah, man, I think like a better wrestler, like they said, Holland and Brunson or something like. A better wrestler, that strategy won't work. I mean, they'll eat like 3 or 4 bows, but they're not going to eat 30 because the takedown's completed.
So, I mean, you're exactly right. Now, I do have an interesting question, is that Amir Khan does eventually get the takedown in the first round, but he ate so much damage to even get to the sub attempt that he could not finish on. And Pierce defended it very well. I give 10-9 Pierce all day round one. Just damn. I mean, if we're going damage,
I don't even have the word close in my notes. I literally have the word damage, the first word in my notes. I literally elbows for days. And also, to Pierce's credit, I thought he won like every scramble. Like the in-between positions, he would stop the takedown, and then there would be like some 50-50 positions that he would end up on top on. Like, I thought Pierce was you could argue the better grappler, not the flashier grappler, the better MMA grappler. Like Amir Khan wins in like a gi. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But the MMA,
yes.
Like the scrambles, the transitions, the blending of wrestling and clinch and jiu-jitsu, like I don't know. Pierce puts it together fucking well. Like we always talk about guys like needing to put it together or if they can put it together. Because Pierce is not a plus athlete. He's not like, you don't think of him as this world beater, but like he's not, I don't even know if he's a black belt in any single discipline, but like at MMA, the mixing, like everybody always like leaves out the first word of MMA and they think of it as martial arts, but like the mixing of the martial arts, Pierce is a black belt in the first end. He's not a black belt in a martial art. He's a black belt in the mixing. I that's my takeaway. Like
That's how I feel about it too, man. And also shout out to Pierce's chest tattoo. It's a wrestling
Oh,
mat
that was
circle.
that
Thought that was hilarious. Yeah, it's a wrestling mat with the start
Okay,
in the center
okay.
because
I
it has
thought
the
it was
red
like
and
some
green.
weird, like street traffic sign or something. I was like, whoa.
No. I was looking at it, I was like, he has a wrestling mat tattooed on his chest? That's
No,
kind of weird.
and honestly, sometimes I wish wrestling had some kind of belt system because it's either like, oh, this guy, you're either like all state or you were, Olympic qualifier. Like, there's ways you can like determine how good somebody is at wrestling, but like, there's jiu-jitsu black belt that they showed up X amount of days. You know what I mean? It's weird.
Yeah.
No, it's.
Not based on accolades, but time spent training, which is like, well, you may not be the best even if you're in the gym every day.
For my weekly like weird skateboarding analogy, like there's people that have skateboarded way less time than me that's way better than me, and I would never claim that I should be like considered higher ranked than them. You know what I mean? Because I've been at it longer. Like, and then same goes for the people. Like, there's people that are skated way longer than me that I can do 10 times as many tricks than. And it's like if you try to tell me that guy's better than me because he's done it more times, you'd be wrong. So yeah. So
no way, yeah.
Weird way that kind of the whole jiu-jitsu belt system works. A little off the train here, but yeah, we both had a round 1, 10-9 Pierce. Now round 2, last 4 minutes and 10 seconds, so we do get our first finish of the card here. Like I said, man, first bonus of the
First
night.
bonus of the night as well.
In round 2, the gap widened, not in the striking, in the grappling. He out-grappled.
Yeah, he out-grappled. Pierce got 4 out of his 5 takedowns. Amir Khan got 3 out of his 7. So Pierce literally has a better wrestling statistic, 3 times the amount of control, almost 4 times, and the strike numbers in this fight in 178 thrown for Pierce to 23 thrown for Amir Khan. Yeah, I mean, this was an ass whipping. That was going to be a 10-8 round easily. Now, this is where we have Dan Movaheady here in this round. And I thought it could have been stopped a little sooner even because Movaheady is literally yelling. He's literally he's literally, 40 unanswered punches in the ground. Ridiculous.
What's that Instagram account called? CTE. Instagram CTE Warriors or CTE, I forget. And it's like a troll account where they post every brutal stoppage and they're like, oh, clearly he was going for a single leg there, and
he was still defending relatively well here.
It just shows like the most gnarly like non-stoppages and like makes an argument for it. And like it was like that. Like I felt like I was watching like a. And God damn it, I'm blanking on the Instagram account. Somebody leave in a comment below if you know what I'm talking about. It's like CTE something, but it's like a troll account. It's hilarious. Yes.
CTE Society. Is that what it is?
Yeah. I felt like I was watching a clip from CTE Society. I was like, Movaheady, dog. Like what did Amir Khan do?
Well, and he said 4 different times, Mac 1, defend yourself, improve your position. Mac 1, improve yourself. And I was like, he's not, bro. So the second time you said it, stop the fight, though, right? Because he's not doing what you're saying, and you're the ref. So stop this fight.
I could not agree more, bro. I that was like kind of out of line. Like it was pretty. It was gnarly.
It was a little far. It was a little far.
I mean, so like,
but yeah, so Pierce gets the win.
UFC card, right? I mean, because it was
sounds like it
1
to
in
me.
5 in his last his Capology's having a lot of red on it.
Let's check it out.
Red,
Yeah, he is. Let's see right here. Going back to out of his last 7, he's 2 and 5.
So that's rough.
Yeah, and in the UFC overall, he's 5 and 6.
Yeah, man, not great. Now Pierce, Pierce is one of those weird guys where if you tell me Jonathan Pierce, I'm like, okay, what? Like, let me go look at his Capology. If you say JSP, I'm like, that guy's a fucking baller. That guy's a beast. Like, I don't know, Pierce just looks like an average name, like a John Smith kind of name, like a JSP. Every time we cover a JSP fight, we're like, this guy's fucking good, but it's just he's not memorable for whatever reason.
Well, is there a worse GSP impression than fucking
lie.
Michael Bisping?
I'm not saying good, bad, but entertaining.
Oh, I enjoyed it, but
is
it? Yeah. Well, then you look at Pierce's record. Yeah, felt to be like, I'm here all night.
No, I thought
bisping
Felder was
GSP.
that was awesome. But yeah, man. I mean, so
You know what? Pierce probably should be on the lookout for him. He has very impressive wins. He lost to
that's
Joe
his last
Lozon in
loss. That's his only
2019,
UFC loss.
UFC debut. Yeah, only one. Yeah, and since then he's went on to KO Kai Kamaka, sub Omar Morales, and Morales is undefeated. Decision win over Chris Rodriguez, who is pretty good as well, and then just got a win over Amir Khan by KO. So 3 out of 4 wins, finishes, and I'll take that debut loss to Lozon.
Like what? Like no, tough debut.
Tough debut.
That's
especially 3 years ago.
Lozon
you know what I mean?
The Lozon that can't make weight and is pulling out a Cowboy Cerrone fight. Like, that was a different Lozon, at least in my opinion. Now I'm gonna judge that. But yeah, man.
Absolutely
so
agree.
Keep an eye out, and I mean, Vegas knew what was up. It'll be interesting to see who he's matched up with next, and also what that money line is. But keeping it pushing, because there's 98 fights on this prelims. We got Nathaniel Wood,
yeah, my God.
600 over Charles Rosa, plus 450 in the featherweight division. Now, I'm not going to run from it. I picked Rosa, but I picked Rosa in a purely like money line type of way. Like, I didn't think Nathaniel Wood, after a 1-year layoff, deserved to be minus 600 over anybody, much less Charles Rosa. You know what I mean? And anybody who watched the podcast, I have like a weird kind of unwarranted respect for Charles Rosa. I just kind of like him. Like, so like for what it's worth. I mean,
I could argue a Chin of the Year nomination.
And Rosa has a dangerous skill set. Like, he can get guys out of there. He can take a beating. He has good cardio. I mean, he's a tough night out.
His grappling is very good too. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing too. Is I think with his cardio, his chin, his moderately okay striking, but really his just aggression in striking mixed with he has very good grappling, but he just couldn't find his way into it in this fight. But I think Rosa is a very good test for a lot of guys that don't come up featherweight.
I want to pick Rosa to win. It's that, like, Rosa at plus 450 against a former bantamweight. It's like, I thought there was a little value there. Now, not to bury the league, but I was very, very wrong. I mean, this was about as one-sided fight as we got on the whole card. Like, this was a tuning. This was an ass whooping. I mean, this was bad. I mean, this was not competitive. Yes.
Did you give any 10-8s? Because round by round, not really necessary. Man, so I think it comes down to did you give round 2 the 10-8, I assume? Okay, that was the round I thought he's getting his ass whooped. I could easily see 10-8. I gave 10-9, but I think that in retrospect, I should have given the 10-8. I just gave so much respect to Rosa's chin.
So I'll be real. Half of the 10-8, that's when he started dropping him with leg kicks, right? Like, the legs were destroyed, and then
right,
the 10-8 over leg kicks, right? But you mix the incredibly damaging leg kicks with. He ended up cutting him with big punches, and it's like, all right, that's just too much damage. There's so much damage. Like, if the guy is getting dropped with leg kicks and cut with head punches in the same round, like, you're right. Now, Rosa never quit, and it wasn't really in danger of being stopped, but I thought the damage.
I mean, the final round where Rosa's lip is literally split.
I'm talking about round 2, though.
Like
round 2.
You know what I'm saying? Like, he had. Oh no! I know. But so he splits his lip in round 2. It's just getting beaten to death. Can hardly stand. I in my head was like, Rosa's getting finished in the third. Nathaniel Wood's just going to leg kick him and finish him with leg kicks because he's going to drop him where the ref will just stop it.
Bro. Like, if they would have stopped it because of leg kicks,
I definitely think it could have happened.
Twitter would have been angry. I wouldn't have.
This is the one thing I'll say would be a half-empty note for Wood is he didn't press the most injured part of Rosa enough in the third round. If he had kept throwing leg kicks, I think he gets a finish.
Back, and here's why. He dropped him maybe this is an exaggeration, maybe it's not. I think he dropped him 6 times with leg kicks in the third round. So it's like, was it in the third round? By the third round, he had dropped him 6 times with leg kicks. And it's like, I thought what Wood's read on that was, well, the ref's not going to stop it because of leg kicks. So I don't think he stopped trying to damage the legs. I thought that because Because I
That's
would
fair.
have, like,
I think
if
you
I
you
was the ref,
yeah, I see
would've
I
stopped
see your
it because
point.
of the leg kick. Like every time he touched it, every time he
I would have
breathed
too.
on it, Rosa would drop. Like Rosa was compromised. Like you, like for example, if you punch somebody 4 times in a row, which I guess the Mudarji Schnell fight kind of discredits this theory, but I'm saying like if you drop somebody like 4 times in a row, like 9 times out of 10 that fight's getting stopped. So
Oh yeah, that Mudarji Snell is a 1 in
yeah,
1,000 fight.
exactly. And
You know
so
what I
it's like
mean?
you drop a guy like I mean I don't know where the line between reality and hyperbole stops. Like I mean somewhere between like 4 and 7 times in a row with leg kicks. I mean it was every time he touched him. I mean he would just drop. No, to Rose's credit, he would drop and get right back up and keep pressing forward. So I mean I feel you. It was a little Matt Schnell-esque, but just like with leg kicks. I would have been fine if it was stopped in the 3rd round due to leg kicks. Like, no, maybe that's an unpopular take. But, yeah, and then he started landing elbows, too. It was just gnarly to watch. No, saying all that, I give round 3 a 10-9. Honestly, I wouldn't have hated a 10-8. Like, I wouldn't have been up in arms. No, I don't have it in my notes, but, I mean.
So that was why I asked you, did you give round 2 a 10-8? Because I wanted to see. Because if you give round 2 a 10-8, round 3 is a little better, but my logic in that is if you give the round 3 the 10-8, not round 2, what are we talking about? So I just had to make sure you were seeing the same as me.
Pretty much, we both represent the judges' scorecards. 2 judges gave it 30-26, which I assume they gave round 2 the 10-8. And then round 3, one judge gave it 30-27, which I'll be real, in the time, like, hearing you, anytime you agree with the side I disagree with, I definitely, like, gives it more, like, credit in my books. Like, okay, I'll hear you out. But that being said, like watching live, I was like, that was one of the worst ass whoopings I've ever witnessed. How do you not have a 10-8 in your scorecard? Like,
absolutely, which is why I would have Chin of the Year nomination here for Rosa because he doesn't get finished. I mean, you right, yeah, and I mean dominated in round 2, not even the last round. So survived a whole another 5 minutes after the worst round. So I don't know. Not a half full compliment to Rosa there at all. That's still half empty. Just for anyone at home that thinks, oh, he's boasting Rosa. No. I'm just saying he can take an ass whooping.
It's almost like he's just good enough to get the worst matchups possible, right? Because he's not a can. So like they don't match
I know it.
with,
oh my God, he's not a can.
You know what I'm saying? Like he doesn't get.
He's one of those guys that has like a builder for like Charles Jourdain. It's like it's fucked up, but that's what he is.
Nathaniel Wood, like I said, me and Vegas disagreed on this one. Vegas was clearly right. There's a reason why those casinos are so big and shiny. But yeah, I mean, honestly, but honestly, if you took the -600 on Wood, you're kind of a chode anyway. You know what I mean? Like you'd have been better off going with the under, or finding a way to get value.
Or Makaya, but
exactly.
-500.
Like I thought that was a better play, which I put. There's a reason why I put Makaya on 2 parlays.
Yeah, for sure.
None. I didn't love the value there on Wood. Now I was proven very wrong, and I do. But now, I guess. So Wood apparently was killing himself to make Bantam. Moves up to featherweight and looks fan-fucking-tastic. How do you see Wood? I still I don't know, man.
I'm glad you asked. I'm so glad you asked because I don't see him anywhere near Ilia Topuria, Shane Burgos, or Edson Barboza, which are the back 3 of 145 still. As good as I think he is, I think those guys are all incredibly tough for him, especially Burgos.
I was going to say Burgos is the one guy I think he can get because Burgos is going to get hit so much, and the speed would be incredibly one-sided. Now, Burgos would also be like twice his size.
And Burgos hits way hard.
I bet against Burgos last time to see how that did me. I don't know, man.
Hurricane Shane, 7-0 in New York. Never lost professionally in New York. Granted, he got saved, but
Man.
I didn't think he won his last fight.
Wood, I mean,
you know what I mean?
Wood just starts getting off. Just because Burgos is there to be hit, and I'll say. And this is one of the things I agreed with the broadcast the most with last night. Wood's speed is fucking nuts, dude. It's fucking nuts. It's like...
Yeah. His hand speed's crazy. Him and Barboza, a very fun fight. Him and Topuria, not as fun, because Topuria is going to try and wrestle and stifle a lot of what Wood can do. Yeah. Right. The Barboza matchup is nice.
Also,
and I think Wood's more well-rounded than any of those guys that you're saying.
Wood, I think the size is going to be weird for Wood coming. I mean,
yeah, I agree. I agree entirely, man. And I think that there's two sides to that coin, right? Was he depleting some of his muscle to make 35, and now he feels a lot better at 45? And even though he might be slightly outsized, is his cardio and energy and spirit so much better?
I think if you're a Wood fan, if you're a Wood supporter, if you're a Wood bettor, I think that's what you're kind of counting on, which I don't hate. Like, I'm not necessarily disagreeing with that. But also, he's going to be in there with some fucking big dudes, like some big dudes.
Oh, like Giga's huge. Evloev's huge. Barbosa's big as hell. Fargo's pretty big. Topuria also came down from lightweight. So, like, I mean, unless it's Ige. Now, the Sadiq Youssef would be a fun matchup because they're both so fast. Both those guys are so fast.
But
I believe you're correct.
That doesn't make what you just said not true. Like, I also, yeah.
Oh, yeah, Chikadze. Chikadze.
Chicago.
Giga gets that one.
Come on now. But I like what the UFC's doing there, man. Let's get Giga back on the right path there.
I agree. They've given Giga just the hardest fights in his last two, 3 fights. So don't hate that at all.
Yeah, let's keep it pushing,
I guess we can keep it pushing.
I thought this was the wildest.
And I also think this is maybe the snoop.
I thought Vegas was tripping. Now, to the point
Agreed.
where now I did bet Hadzovic, but I bet him on my underdog / hedge card parlay. So it kind of gets a little asterisk. Like, it definitely wasn't one of my picks. But I just hated the value on Jacasey that much. Like, I am not high on Jacasey. I mean, I don't think Jacasey should be minus 410 against really anybody. Yeah, that's
over anybody.
Like, when I say I had a hedge / underdog kind of wild card parlay, I put it on there. But I was kind of more betting against Jacasey than I was betting on Hadzovic. Obviously, this fight takes place in the lightweight division. But, yeah, go ahead, brother.
I was just going to say, you know what's so tough about Jacasey, man, is his losses are to Jakar Close, which is he's a close,
including the UFC. I'm kind of
But my point being, it was 2017. So, like, that's Ultimate Fighter finale. It's how he gets his contract. Then he gets subbed by Dan Hooker in the 3rd round of that fight. And then he loses to Nazareth Hackpress. So he opens up 0-3. Then gets a win over Joe Duffy. Then beats Lando Venata. So 2-3. Then he has to fight Fiziev.
That was a feeding. Yeah.
This is the fight where Fiziev was literally... That's the one where Fiziev was literally dodging kicks backwards. And then he has to fight Rafael Alves. Gets subbed round 1. Also a tough fight. Looked great against Vyacheslav Borshev. Slava Claus. Yeah. But see, I don't like Slava Claus. And I also don't like Damir Hadzovic. So, and the approach that Jacasey has taken is he's an awesome striker, and he's going completely to wrestling. He's going completely to it. So much so that his corner was, we once again don't have to go round by round here because every round's the same. But his corner, I thought, was and to Bisping's credit, this is the one home fighter he actually was he needs to just go for it and quit doing this.
Do you have any 10-8s? I sure as fuck don't.
Hell no. Which blew me away.
What?
Blew me away. And different rounds. One judge was round 2. Vito.
2 judges give this, what? What does a 10-8 even mean? And back-to-back fights. You just watched Wood Rosa.
It was crazy. It's crazy that one judge gave 10-8 round 2, one judge gave 10-8 round 3. I don't think either of those rounds were even remotely close to 10-8. And the headbutt was what had Jovic open. So it's you can't credit that damage. Take that off the scale. They even stopped it and reset the position.
I do think if you do, if gun to my head, I have to pick a 10-8. It is round 2. But, that's a dog shit argument for a 10-8.
Not close enough. Yeah. You have to pick one round you won and call it a 10-8. Okay, I don't really have the bones to stand on to say it's 10-8, but if you're making me choose one.
And this is another one where, I guess it's...
the snooziest fight on the card, for sure.
I literally did, a hate bet against Jacasey, but I even losing the bet, Casey goes on to win, but even losing the bet, I still felt the same way of like, I mean, that was still whack. And honestly, I'd just dauber down on Hedzovic. I didn't think Jacasey looked that great. He definitely didn't look minus 410. Now, the judges obviously thought so, but I disagree. And bro, when we say snooze, like, I literally, like, this is going to sound like I'm doing material here, but, like, seriously, I literally had to crack an energy drink. Like, I was literally dozing off. Like, I was literally snoozing. I mean, granted, it was early in the morning, and I stayed up pretty late the night before, but I literally had to crack.
I mean, it was bad enough where Jacasey's corner after round 2 said, "Don't be afraid to strike with him." He like looked up, like shocked, and was like, "I'm not afraid." And I was like, "Man, that's the worst response ever." Like you can tell he's in his own head of like, "I don't want to get struck because it's dangerous. Like I'll just take the easy route." Now that's what I'm saying, man. Like I really hated Jacasey's approach in the entirety of I loved round 1. I even liked round 2, but the fact he wouldn't try to go for it in round 3. Bisping said it best. He's gonna build a reputation for being a snoozy fighter, and that's not how you get fights to move up the ladder.
So Jacasey gets the win. 230-26 is 130-27. We'll keep it pushing. I gotta be right back. I gotta tell my wife to take out my dog. My dog's like tripping. She really needs to go out. I'll be right back, like 2 seconds.
Cool. I'll introduce the odds. So here at our prelim main event, we actually have guys I love. Mason Jones, Ludovic Klein. The highlight is Ludovic Klein's nickname. Love that. Mason Jones is a 55 and 170-pound champion in Cage Warriors. So, and that's the England promotion. So he's going to have a lot of home fans here. Even more to the point, Mason Jones, minus 450. Ludovic Klein.
Plus
what was Klein? I missed his odds.
20, man. And I gotta say, Mason Jones reminds me a little bit of Amir Khan in the fact that you hear the name and you're like, oh, this guy's a beast. Then he started.
Well, he was a champion in welterweight and lightweight in Cage Warriors. But he should be a beast, but he's not.
But like.
Yeah, if there was a 160-pound division, he would dominate it, I think. I think he's cutting himself a little short. Yeah, but he's too small to be at 170.
Are huge. But I don't know. See Gilbert Burns? Like, I don't know. What I'm saying is, like, I think Vegas made this money line bet on, like, reputation. Because, like, Jones is thought of as this, like, killer. And then Klein is kind of like you have, like, who is that again? Like, you know what I mean? He's not very memorable. Like, he's not a fan favorite. But, I mean, this is another one where my pick switched upon my research. Like, my knee-jerk reaction was like, oh, yeah, Jones. Like, even before I looked at the money lines, like, oh, Jones will be a big favorite in this one, which I was right. But then I started doing a little second-tier level research, and I was like, oh, shit, is this the dog pick of the week?
Well, and to your point, I mean, I don't know if you consider plus 100 a real dog. That's technically a pick'em by odds. Technically, that's still considered minus 120, plus 100 pick'em. Anything outside of that is anything over plus 100 is no longer a pick'em. So my point in saying that is we haven't had a real dog win a fight yet. Yeah, 7 fights, you haven't had a dog win a fight.
And I don't know, man. I the more I looked into this and did a little research, because I think Onama exposed Jones, especially coming up from featherweight. Because I think Jones won that fight, but we both disagreed with it, and Onama looked like an absolute beast and kind of beat the shit out of him. And like we both like that's the fight I think we fell in love with Onama.
And it
was like 8 days notice.
Yeah, we actually talked about how we put Cole. Yep. It's how we actually talked about how we put Cole in Onama's train and nothing into Mason Jones.
I think people like no, we'll get to it. I think we're kind of foreshadowing a little bit where we're going here, but
well, I mean, round 1 essentially puts the fight on notice that Klein is going to be the sharper striker, faster down the center line, and Mason Jones is just tough.
You could tell like there was like a level of say arrogance where Jones thought he was just going to like kind of which I think I
could just press him.
Minus 390 favorite, which I'll be real. If I was coaching a fighter, I wouldn't even let him look at the money lines. Either way. Like, I would literally try to, like, tell him. But you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't want to know if you're a big dog. You don't want to know if you're a big favorite. Like, my outside opinion looking in is that like Jones was fighting like he knew he was a minus 390. You know what I'm saying? Like that's kind of what it looked like to me. But then Klein was like, hold up.
Well, Jones opened at minus 280. So once again, this whole English bias. I mean, just they inflated all of the English fighters' odds because England bet so much money into their own fighters. So this is a case of Ludovic Klein looking like a bigger underdog than he should ever be in this fight.
Jones's credit, you know, been pretty tough on him. He had good pressure and good activity in round one. It just, like, I'll put it this way. Klein was moving backwards most of the round, and I thought, like, won the round. Like, I don't want to say clearly because I do have the word close in my notes, but
I thought round one was the closest by far.
The counters and the head kicks, like while moving backwards, was so high level from Klein, and it's like all Jones has going for him is the fact it was kind of like a Covington-esque style, but like less effective. Like he was throwing a lot, but he wasn't landing a lot, and when he was landing, he wasn't landing that clean, and like he was doing a lot, but just not getting a lot of like reward on his investment.
Absolutely. I also think that, so 10-9 round one. Round two is where Mason Jones gets pretty much dropped and then recovers or comes back to life when he hits the ground, right? That's not round three. That's round two. Okay, perfect. So, man, I will give Mason Jones this. He is tough as hell. I mean, the fact that he ate that shot from a power striker like Klein, was able to actually, like, he landed face first, rolled and defended and survived.
Well, and then,
big credit there.
And then Klein
but hey, what's that mean? You know,
he was down. The ground and pound was gnarly, which I thought was
ground and pound was gnarly. I almost went 10-8.
Yeah, you know what? Well, and let's talk about why we did it because I assume it's the same reason.
Jones did just enough. He kept fighting back. At the end of the round, he looked good to finish it. And I think that parting factor from the round, also he's the home fighter. And once again, these judges are very biased. We can all tell in the cards at this point. I knew that it was honestly to the point where I thought this was going to be a 29-28, only because I thought the judges were just going to give him pressure points, which crazy to say, I know. But I had no faith in these judges at this point.
Too, man. I definitely was. Now round three, round three is probably the easiest to score. Because it was really, really weird. Jones knew he was down 2-0 and
I'll give him credit for pressing.
He tried a flying armbar, a flying triangle, and essentially
he gives up position. Like, what are you doing? You just got beat up on your back.
Stays on his back the rest of the round, which made it just super easy to score. Now, on one hand, you could say he went for it. I would rather see him go for it with like some head kicks, or some clinch bows, or like, I don't think like pulling guard and trying to be fucking Jimmy Flick is like the necessary.
I would have liked to have seen him shoot for takedowns and get Klein to his back, or at least pressed on the fence, because I don't think he was going to outstrike him, and I damn sure don't think that pulling guard was the move. I thought maybe just pressuring him onto the fence and trying to get a top position would have been the move.
100% agree. I think he was kind of throwing shit against the wall, see if it sticks. He'd been pretty much beat up for 2 rounds. He thought he needed to make an adjustment, which he was right, but he made the wrong adjustment, I thought, which I think even his coach is probably like, come on, man, what the fuck is this? Like, I don't know. And it's like I said, it's not like he's Chase Hooper or fucking Paul Craig or one of these submission guys. Like, I don't know. I was just like, that was never going to really work. Like, it was a Hail Mary. It was a Hail Mary. You have a weak-on quarterback. Like,
too early. It's like throwing a Hail Mary to start the fourth quarter, though. Like, save all that for the last 90 seconds. Like, fight through it and then throw your Hail Mary. He threw it way too early.
I forgot about that in my part of the breakdown, and I'm so glad you brought that up because you're right. If he throws that flying triangle or flying up, whatever it was, if he pulled his guard with 2 minutes left, 90 seconds left, you're like, all right, pull the rabbit out of the hat, try, throw shit against the wall, see if it sticks. But you're right. I thought there was, definitely the wrong timing for that. But, yeah, man, Ludovic Klein, you can see where we're going with this. Gets the win. You're right. Doesn't get the screw job. I was waiting for the fucking old O2 Arena screw job, but I really was.
Fucking me too.
It was like, you're right.
I swear to God, I thought 29-28 is – I thought Klein would win, but I thought they would just slide Mason Jones the first round on, loving Mason Jones. Granted, none of the judges did. No 10-8s given, though. which I think round 2, very debatable 10-8
especially
there for
after
anywhere
the
else.
weird like Casey precedent that was set. So it's like,
Yeah, right. Like you gave Casey a 10-8. Well, Klein just almost knocked him out and then beat the hell out of him for 2 more minutes, and then ended 30 seconds of like 50-50 / maybe losing. So how does he win 4 minutes 30 seconds and almost get a finish and not a 10-8?
if I slow my roll on the ones I got wrong, I got to slow my roll on the ones I got right. But I did pick this one. I did pick this as an upset. I do have it on the parlay. Now, it was my hedge / underdog parlay. So a little asterisk there. Yeah.
But you were hitting on that one. I mean, what is it? If Hadzovic wins that, you hit that parlay?
Yeah.
Which $2 to 120. You know what I'm talking about? Like that's plus 6,000 odds, I'm pretty sure.
It was close, man.
That's crazy.
But yeah, like I said, I picked it, but like I actually felt better about this pick than the Hadzovic pick, and this had a bigger money line. Like I actually like you do a slight bit of digging, and Klein looked pretty good at plus 320. Like
I honestly like Klein moving forward too, man. I think he presents a lot of challenges for a lot of guys.
Sick.
Like if you want to go Klein Jacasey next, I don't love Jacasey in that fight.
Jacasey. I mean, I like. I think that.
Well, it's tough because there's like 2 kinds of Klein you get, right? Like his first fight in the UFC, 2020, he gets a KO. Then he loses to Michael Trizano. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I like Trizano. I love his tattoo on his back. That shit is tight. Loses, gets subbed by Nate Landwehr, that one's tough. But then beats
you know what I mean? Like
no. And then he beat Devontae Smith, not the receiver, the fighter. And then he beats Mason. Great win. I agree with you 100%. And then he beats Mason Jones. And I think being 27 years old, being a southpaw, having that level of speed and striking acumen, his striking is beautiful, man. Like I really like him moving forward as far as how 155 fights as a division.
Like,
I really like.
You tell me there's not a scenario where Klein knocks out Michael Chandler with a head kick? Like that could happen. That could happen.
Yeah, or I even think a Klein Fiziev fight's very fun.
We're talking maybe 2024. Like
now Fiziev, and Fiziev clearly still the winner in that fight. I'm going to break it down right now. But I think it's a fun fight.
There's things to like about Klein.
Now I think it's a lot of trouble for Klein to be who he is, where he is, right? Because he's one of the new generation 155ers. But you're talking about Fiziev, Gamrot, Sarukian, Jalen Turner. Like those are his counterparts, and I don't think he beats any.
You're right. You know what?
No, they're all good fights, but I just don't think he's there.
Like it gives him like instead of the puncher's chance, there's like the head kick chance because like bro, he throws it so fluid and it gets up there so fast and he times it so well. Like he could catch somebody with that on any given night. Now that's not something to bank on, and you're right. He would definitely be an underdog against all those guys, but especially a guy like Jalen Turner is like. He's not like the technically soundest fighter. Like there's a chance something gets through. You know what I mean? You're right.
It's gonna be fucked up to say, but Dan Hooker might be a good matchup and a fun fight because Hooker's not going to try to take him down. Now it's fucked up because you don't want to do that to Dan Hooker. Why? He doesn't deserve that.
Why stop now? Why stop now?
I know. So why would they keep? Oh yeah.
Like,
the hate.
Why stop now? At the same time, if you're Dan Hooker, like on paper, you're not going to get a much easier fight than that. So it's you're in a tough spot if you're Dan Hooker. But I feel you, man. There's a lot of these guys that Klein could beat, and like there's a lot of these guys that's a tough matchup. Now, lightweight, stacked division, tough to climb, tough to crack the rankings. But no, you just listed some ranked guys. I think you have a hard time listing very many unranked guys that beat him. You know what I'm saying? Like he's right on that like cusp.
Oh, yeah. No, I totally agree with you, man. And that's what I'm saying, though, is like his ability to get into the top end of lightweight. Now, in 2 years, this looks completely different, right? Because we're talking about guys like Poirier's out of the division, essentially, right? McGregor, essentially out of the division. Ferguson, essentially out of the division. RDA, essentially out of the division. So we're talking about Michael Chandler in 2 years. He's not going to be the same Michael Chandler he is now. Same with Dan Hooker. So there's probably 6 guys that are going to drop out.
Up in 2 years, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
I think he's moving up. There's no way he keeps making that cut. So, and hell, Jalen Turner might not be able to keep making 55 as he gets older.
Yeah, I think
but I like Turner at 70. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, man, I feel you. The lightweight division, this new generation of like mainly European fucking lightweights are fucking killers. The Gamrots of the world, the Kleins of the world. I mean, there's even a scenario where Jones kind of rights the ship and he's one of these guys in the conversation. Now he has a lot of work to do, but yeah, no, these next generation of lightweights especially the European lightweights are fucking sick. They're really talented.
They have a well-rounded skill set, every single one of them. Sarukian, Gamrot, Ismagulov, all of them.
Wraps up the
But
prelims.
yeah, I mean that
sure,
pretty much wraps the
Take a
prelims.
small little break here, and then we'll be right back with the main card, breaking down UFC London, Blaydes, Aspinall. We just hit the prelims. Well, if you're still watching this, please go like some videos and subscribe on our YouTube channel. The giveaway's still going on, man. If you want that Nate Diaz card, subscribe and comment your Instagram or Twitter handle so we can contact you and you can win some UFC trading cards. I'll give out multiple people do the criteria for the giveaway. So yeah, giveaway's always fun. I know not everybody's into cards as me, but if you're into the UFC, it'd be cool to have a card of some of your favorite fighters. So I don't see how that wouldn't be cool to win for free. So yeah, just subscribe to the YouTube channel, Beefy Boys Breakdown, and leave your Instagram or Twitter handle on any video and a comment. We'll see it. And we'll get you that card shipped out to you. We'll reach out to you. So, yeah, giveaway's still going on. That wraps up episode 97, the prelims portion. We'll be right back in a few moments with the main card, brother. Looking forward to it.